Hi guys, hi Ksenia. So sorry that it didn't work as we expected, but we will try to do our best. So, hi parents, nice to meet you. My name is Victoria and I'm a certified behavior analyst. I hold BA in education and a Master of Science of Applied Behavior Analysis. And I bring the science of applied behavior analysis to families that experience behavioral challenges with their children. And one of my expertise, because I work so much with families with young children, is to solve behavioral related sleep challenges. So I have in front of me a few questions that I received front, and I will read those. And I will read those and try to answer to my best. So first surprising question that I received was, what is a night like for a sleep consultant? So first of all, I'm a mom. I have 2 young children, so of course, as any other mom, we are there for them always, right? Day, night, whenever. But additionally to that, my usual late evenings, I'm busy to answer questions or just to provide support to families that right now started the intervention process on their sleep challenges. So it's very common for me to receive calls even at 11 p.m. To discuss what to do or if everything is okay, and to help, just to support, even to say, you know, you're doing great. It's supposed to look like, I know it's hard, but you can do it. So, but overall, I'm not complaining. I usually, as parents, start to work on sleep habits with my children from the moment that they're born. So, yeah, they are great sleepers. So, parents asked, what method do you utilize in your work and what do you think about the cried out method? So since I'm a behavior analyst, I'm not working with concrete technique. My profession comes to design an individualized intervention plan for the family needs. So by applying concrete technique, you're basically saying it's supposed to work no matter what. But there are very many different variables that we supposed to check out and to create assessment before we build an intervention plan. So there are a variety of techniques that we could implement, and I sit together with parents. First, I need to learn about their concrete situation, and only after that, together, we will decide what we're supposed to do. Because actually, it is very common that a chosen technique, if it was selected without appropriate assessment, it just even could make things worse, or parents just don't know the details of how correctly to implement a method. So basically, it also can sabotage the process. A cried out method, it is a common method, but it's very hard to implement. Parents just must be aware of what to expect and what are the side effects of each method that they're choosing. I think my goal as a professional that work with families is to design a plan that will work for their needs. So I think parents that independently work, like without professional support and choosing to implement time cried out technique, basically they're probably much more prepared to deal with crying, and it's not something that works for everybody. So my goal is to support each individual parent and moms and to give them the tools that will work for them individually. So next question is, when is the perfect time to hire a sleep consultant? So I think first of all, it is important to learn about the sleep even before you become a parent. Like if you're expecting parent, your baby is on his way, it's important just to read and to know what to expect and how to develop a healthy sleeping patterns and to start to work on those as early as possible. But if obviously it's very hard first few months and there are many different challenges, and if you reach that point that when you understand that, okay, things must be changed, I need to sleep train my child, I need to correct the established behavioral patterns that I created, probably the perfect, like not the perfect, but it is recommended to start to intervene around age of 6 months. Some babies will be ready even at the age of 4, but some of them will be ready a little bit later than 6 months. It's all about physiology, basically, that will support the process. So it's possible that if we will even start to implement and you will do everything correctly, it still will be challenging because baby still has things going on inside of him. So it's a delicate issue. There is no really a flag that comes out and says, hey, hi, I'm ready, I'm a baby, I'm 6 months, do it. It's very personal, but hopefully by age of 6 months, baby already physiologically balanced, and the interventions that we will provide will support to develop and to correct the established his sleep patterns. It is also common, basically, to work with toddlers and young children, because it's possible that as a baby, a parent trained the baby and he was sleeping great, but each point of the life brings other challenges. And sometimes it requires just professional support. So sleep training is not just, okay, let's teach baby to sleep. It's also to help the child or the toddler to follow the rules, to stay in bed, not to walk 100 times out of his bed at night, or walk to search for parents at 3 a.m. or to go to play at 4 a.m. So in sleep interventions, it's very comprehensive, actually. We address different variety of behaviors on sleep-related issues. Basically, we can intervene on the behavior at any point, but first we must make sure that the child is healthy. So it's usually that first step will be just to discuss it with your pediatrician if it's a good fit right now. There are different situations, so absolutely to increase the behavioral success of the intervention, we will need our child to be in good health. So other questions that came was that some parents believe that as older the child is, it will be easier to sleep train him. So what are my thoughts about that? So each age brings other challenges. So yes, regarding babies, it might be that since the baby, as he gets older and his physiology supports better sleep, it is best decision not to start at 4 months, but wait until 7 months. But if the question is regarding, okay, for 2 years of my child's life, I'm not intervening there, and then I will teach him, basically what we created is we developed 2 years of learning history of not very appropriate habits and patterns. And of course, as long as the learning history of the concrete behaviors that you want to change, it will be harder. Additionally, as child is growing, he develops, so he knows more and understands more. So he will resist, and the resistance will come on any point of the intervention, even with 6 months old and even with 2 years old. So no, if parents think that they will just wait until the child will be 3 or 4, and then it will be easier. So first, basically, they lost 4 years of their sleep, also the sleep of their child, right? And it impacts the health, it impacts the growth, it impacts the focus. Lack of sleep is not good for the health of the child, first of all, but also of the other family members. But if the idea is here just to avoid resistance or crying, probably it won't happen, because as child is growing, he still will be resist. And we don't like when parents come and set us boundaries. So first things that we will try to do is start to just say, no, I don't want. And obviously children cry for that. So my guess is it's not a very good idea to wait longer. So other question was what is it like to work with a sleep consultant? And I will explain about the way I am working. So first, usually we start from initial phone call. I want to hear about the challenges, if I'm not as a correct therapist that can help and work with this case. It is common that at that point I will say, okay, hey, listen, this is something that you must address with your pediatrician first. And after that, if everything will be okay, then we can intervene behaviorally. After we decided to start to work, the first step will be to build assessment of what's going on. I need to learn about the situation. I need to learn how those patterns were developed, how parents address this situation, what child learn, because what we're coming to, like in the sleep intervention, we come to change the behaviors, we come to change the learning history, we come to teach. So first, we need to understand what child knows. After I'm accomplishing the assessment, and we all do it usually within like 2 hours of one session, one very intensive session. Sometimes we will move to 2 sessions, usually depends on family needs. After the assessment part, together with parents, we will develop a plan, intervention plan, that I will discuss of variety of techniques that I assume will be effective to implement here in order to reach the change. After we chose the techniques, I will train the parents to implement those correctly. And after we're sealing the protocol, basically they start with implementation, and I'm guiding them through the process. It could be that chosen technique suddenly parents feel hard time to implement that and they want to change, or child respond in different way than we expected, or things are happening. It's a dynamic process. This is why it's important for a professional to be available there to provide the support and adjustments as required, but still to continue to follow the program. So eventually the goal will be in front of us and we will reach it. So yes, and at that point, after we saw that the child starts to respond to the intervention, and we observe changes. So, for example, we observe less awakenings during the night. We observe that it takes him less time to fall asleep, and depend on what we are working on. Then parents continue. I'm here for them until we summarize and say, okay, yeah, great, we met our goal. This is so the process finished here. From now on, you must just to maintain it. So yeah, this is the process of working with professional support. So parents asks, can you name few common challenges that the parents should expect while sleep training? So so first, I think parent must be aware that we need the parent to be very consistent in what they're starting to implement. And consistency is basically the key. Of course, first of all, we need to find the tools or the techniques that will be a good fit for this case. But after that, parents must understand there is no magic wand. We are changing something that took long time to establish. So obviously it will take some time to change that. So consistency is a key. It's just like a diet. You must daily eat your salad, daily, in order to see how your weight is going down. Another challenge that the parent must be aware is the resistance of the child. There is no magic also. In the moment that you set a boundary to your child will resist. People don't like changes. And of course, especially if those changes change the conditions that the child was used to. For example, just to sleep on his mom in his parents' bed, and suddenly parents require, no, I'm sorry, this is over now, you're an independent child, you can do it on your own in your bed. Of course, people don't like such changes. And of course, there will be crying involved. So parents must be aware that basically all this process of sleep training is setting boundaries. And parents know their children better than anyone else. So if your child has history of tantruming, of biting, or whatever other challenging behaviors, when you try to set him boundaries, this is probably what you will face also during this process. But I'm there to teach how to address it correctly, so not to allow those behaviors to come in front of our way. But this is something that parents must be aware of. So I think 2 keys is first, to be committed, to keep the consistency during the implementation, which could take few weeks. And additionally is to be prepared for resistance of their children, and that they have the emotional energy right now to deal with that. So The other question is, is it better for parent to decide not to sleep train? So, of course, first of all, child's supposed to be in good health. I met few cases of children that were suffering from very terrible reflux, and of course it affected their sleep, and of course the behavioral patterns developed weren't healthy because of objective reasons. But we could not intervene until the doctor, the pediatrician will say, okay, he's all right, he can do it. So this is just one of the examples. Sometimes, yes, there are cases of children that have some kind of physical conditions and still behavioral intervention still required. But first of all, I think to decide not to sleep train is until the child is in good health. Second reason is also what's going on in your life right now. So if you're moving between houses right now or planning a long travel, a trip in 1 week or 2 weeks without having a consistent band for your child or being able to maintain consistent routine, probably it's not a good time to start it. First, come back. So your life will be in good in good balance, and only then you can be ready. Another probably good point is to consider sleep training is if you know that you're not ready to deal with that emotionally, and it's okay. We are different, and it could be even that parents feel that yes, I'm ready right now, I can do this and everything, but then they face the challenge and they just start, and then they decide to stop the intervention. It also could be it's not the desirable option. I always want, of course, success of my clients, but still to be aware of ourselves as moms, and to understand what's good for us at first. It's very, very important for success of the process, of course, for success of our child. So probably it will be better even to a little bit suffer, yes, not to sleep, but to wait for 1 more month. And if then you feel much readier and your family brings you the support that you need, your husband at home and not traveling, and maybe your mom is coming there and to give you a hand and to support you, then it's probably much better decision than to start before. So the last question is, are there any tips or tricks that I can share with parents today regarding the sleep? So I think, first of all, is to start to create the understanding about sleeping from really first days of your baby lives, to teach them what is bad. It is common that at first months babies sleep better, so parents take them to rides and go with strollers and continue to manage their lives, socialize basically with babies while they accompanying them. But it is much better to take advantage of those good sleep moments of first weeks at least, and to teach that you sleep in bed, and this is your sleeping environment, and this is what you're supposed to do, and the stroller is not for sleeping and car seat is not for sleeping, but the bed is. So absolutely to start to work on the environment from the first. Additional sign of good habits will be to teach that the sleeping environment, it's not the entertainment environment. So the bed's supposed to be clean of any stimuli, like toys or projectors or fun stuff. No, in bed we are relaxing and we are just taking time out to sleep. Another thing is to follow that night is a night and day is a day, even from day one. At night, we address baby's needs strictly as business. We still keep the environment dark. We feed, we change, we do whatever required, but keep the energy of night and not a day. Not to turn a light on, not to sit in front of TV while baby's nursing and it's 2 a.m. It's not good for the parent, and it's also not good for the baby. Night is night and day is day. And I think the last tip is to be prepared for sleep regressions. Each developmental milestone will bring new challenges. So it will affect the sleep. There are cognitive changes, there are physiological changes. Suddenly baby becomes I can crawl. And so he's so busy with crawling, so it affects his sleep. But the common mistakes that will happen there, parents will try to provide support to fall asleep because, oh, he can't put himself down, he can't put himself down, let me nurse him to sleep, let me rock him to sleep. And this is exactly what creates those sleep regressions. Basically, you behaviorally start to support undesirable behaviors. And then it's very hard to go back. So be prepared for those regressions, be prepared for those milestones, be sure your child can do it. You will support him, but you be aware not to develop problematic behavioral patterns that it will be hard to go back from in the future. So I think that's it. And guys, you're absolutely welcome to post your questions here under this post and tag me in and I can answer to you. And Ksenia, thank you for arranging this. Unfortunately, we couldn't do the split screen, but I think it was nice to see all of you. Thank you. Bye.